What's going on, everyone? Welcome back. Today, I wanted to shout Chilling Water Florges in the Open Great League, mainly because I keep on seeing Azumarill every single season as one of the strongest Pokemon in the game. It's a Water and Fairy type Pokemon here. We have Chilling Water Florges with that same exact coverage. Obviously, a little bit less bulky than Azu, but it has that debuffing potential of Chilling Water, so this Pokemon might have some play. I'm going to pair it up today using a Corviknight, one of my favorite Pokemon in the Open Great League right now, running Sand Attack, Air Cutter, as well as Payback. And in the lead, Diggersby is going to make a comeback here. I feel like, honestly, at this point, Diggersby is a little bit slept on using Quick Attack, Scorching Sands, as well as Fire Punch. Let's get into the battles and see what this team can do. Alright, first game of the day, Diggersby as our lead up against a Shadow Kanto Marowak. Pretty good lead matchup here, but honestly, our backline would probably be just a little bit better. We have a Florges with Chilling Water that's super effective and debuffs them. We have a Flying type as well that can resist this ground type damage, but our Diggersby is still a very solid neutral check to this Pokemon. In comes the Scorching Sands, we do a decent chunk of their health. Honestly, they're still staying in there, building up so much energy right now, potentially trying to catch a Scorching Sands, I guess, on this Togekiss. They did bank a lot of energy on that ground-type Pokemon, but at this point, I can go for a Fire Punch here, which should be able to put them into a range where our own Florges should be able to answer this Pokemon, and hopefully whittle them down enough with Fairy Winds as well as Chilling Water. Our opponent going for a move here, maybe a Dazzling Gleam, maybe a Psyshock, I guess. Okay, I guess if they have Psyshock, that means they're not going to do quite as much damage as they could otherwise, but it will also pace just a little bit quicker. Chilling Water, though, going to come through, debuff their attack stat, and hopefully put them into a Fairy Wind farm down range. Our opponent here going for yet another Psyshock against us. I can survive this. I'm going to no shield, thanks to that debuff not taking too much damage, but our opponent brings back in that Marowak with so much energy at this point. I'm going to go for the shield here, and I know they have a lot of energy. I don't quite have a move. I'm going to try to catch on our Corviknight, which is what we end up doing. In comes some attack here against us, but I know Bone Club is not going to do too much to our Flying type. We do survive that, and hopefully we can farm them down here with our Sand Attacks before another move is reached, or I guess not. They do actually get to another move here at the last second. Once again, though, a Bone Club not going to do too much to my Corviknight. We can still farm them down, and they actually bring back in their Togekiss here, which is kind of interesting. I'm surprised to see this come in rather than their final Pokemon. Maybe they're a little bit scared of Flying type damage, or maybe they just want to waste my energy at this point. I'm not quite sure. I guess maybe both. It's a Pangoro in the backline, so this Air Cutter will come through. Super effective against this Pokemon. They know I still have a Fairy type around, so they probably do want a shield. In comes that shield here, just one Fairy Wind away from a Chilling Water with our Florges. So once again, we'll throw this attack here and see what they want to do. They do end up shielding once again here, and our Fairy Winds even are doing so much damage to this Pangoro. Dark and Fighting both weak to Fairy type damage. In comes a move, just a Night Slash, so hold on, we survived that, and our Fairy Winds are shredding their HP. They have to throw a second move right on CMP before my next Chilling Water will be thrown. Well, this will knock us out here. My Diggersby still has some energy on it. All I need is a Fire Punch to put them into a fast attack farm down range for my Corviknight as well as my Diggersby. Fire Punch already is going to be reached, and I think they have to go for a close combat to knock us out as well because of that debuff. They realize not much as Pangoro can do at this point. GG to our opponent. Next game, Diggersby up against a Galarian Corsola. Does not get much better than this. One of the main reasons that I really like Diggersby still in this meta is because Galarian Corsola is everywhere. And I guess here on the safe swap, it doesn't get much worse for us. We're going to have access to our best counter to a Shadow Primeape that you could really have. Not only can we go for the super effective damage against them, while they're boosting their attack stat, I'm going to lower their attack stat as well with these Chilling Waters. And this just gets so annoying for them, right? Because every time they boost themselves up, I can just say, no, you don't. And I can boost them right back down with our moves. Pace pretty evenly with our Chilling Water as well. And in the 2 shield here, it looks like I can farm down. Actually go for a close combat there. It's kind of a crazy play. I'm going to go for the guarantee play, though, where I Chilling Water them, knock them out, guarantee that I can keep switch, because if I keep my Diggersby on that Corsola, this game is looking pretty good for us. I can still reach a Moonblast here against this Corsola, and while Florges here is not the most offensive Pokemon in the game, it's still a Moonblast, and Corsola is going to be able to be put down deep into the yellow, maybe even to like just a single Scorching Sands range, so honestly, very good chip damage to get. This energy is going to go nowhere against our Diggersby, so obviously they swap out into their final Pokemon. It's going to be an Azumarill here, and while Corviknight is not a hard answer by any means to an Azu, I know it's also not a bad matchup, right? I can neutrally lose this matchup as much as I need to. As long as I put them into a range where our own Diggersby can deal with this without taking a ton of damage, then our Diggersby should be able to close out this backline. And I mean, if I get boosts with Air Cutter as well, this matchup gets just better and better. So if I can get a boost here, that's pretty good. If I don't get a boost, that's still fine. Corviknight will chip down this Azu quite a bit with a lot of consistent Sand Attack damage, as well as Air Cutters just getting spammed out so quickly. In comes yet another Air Cutter here. Our opponent's switch clock is probably up. I wouldn't mind trying to call a combo play at some point if I can. Our opponent does go for the next bubble and then a combo play after the fact. Kind of hard to call that, I guess, but it's still fine. They switch lock their Corsola in. I survive a Nightshade and go for another Sand Attack to bank an Air Cutter, and now my Diggersby comes right back in. I can absorb all the damage. They're going to throw overfarm a ton of energy here, and then even if this Corsola is going to be able to chip us down a little bit, it doesn't really matter. Azu needs way too much energy here to win this game, and my Diggersby already at back-to-back moves. Scorching Sand's going to be thrown. This might not even be enough to knock them out, but I think that's even better for us, because then I can quick attack down. I'll have even more energy against the Azu. This Pokemon does not worry me in the slightest. It's that Water-type Pokemon in the backline that still has a little bit of damage against us. We go for that No-Gel on the Nightshade, does nothing to our Diggersby. In comes Azu. We can shield up the Ice Beam, and now try to get to 2 Scorching Sands against them if we can. Honestly, at this point, their win con might be hoping that I make a bad play, and I Fire Punch them here as a bait, but I don't think there's really any reason to do that, because I already have access here to basically 2 Scorching Sands. The first one comes through, the second one on CMP against this Azum. Even if we did lose that CMP, which I think that you technically might be able to against a really attack-weighted Azum, I think we still survive an Ice Beam from that range, and we can Quick Attack down that Corsola. We pick up the win. GG there to our opponent. Next game, a Talonflame on the lead. Honestly, a Pokemon our team doesn't love to see, but Diggersby, as we know from previous seasons, is not unplayable here. Quick attack damage as well as Scorching Sands will add up quite a bit over time. In comes our first move, our opponent going for the no shield. Obviously, they know my damage here, especially if I reach it that quickly, is all resisted. I'm going to go for the no shield, hoping for no Brave Bird coming through right now, but honestly, even a Brave Bird's fine by me, because then they likely swap out after the fact. Fly comes through, doesn't quite knock us out, so we can get to a Fire Punch here to strip them down deep into the yellow, maybe even into the red. Fire Punch being thrown, our opponent going for the no shield. They are in the red at this point. The only tricky part is my backline has no fast attack pressure into this, so I will actually invest a shield here into my Diggersby just to make sure they're deeper into the red, into either like Sand Attack or Fairy Wind downrange. I don't know if that's going to be as possible, but I know for a fact here we can soft lose this matchup or win it if they don't want to go down a shield here. They do actually let that Talonflame go, so we take down a very tricky Pokemon for our backline. They bring in a Ferrothorn to farm us down. Honestly, a Pokemon I don't really love to see, saying it has access to Thunder as a potential charge attack, as well as potentially just walling all of our energy from our Florges. That wouldn't be great either. But I think still with Switch, we're in a much better spot than if we didn't have it. Oh man, unfortunately for us, once our ground type goes down, our opponent realizes that Dedenne is likely pretty safe in the back line. So yeah, they have Dedenne here. I'm going to shield the first attack just to try my best to get some debuffs against them if I can. I'm going to at least bait a Chilling Water, maybe get a shield from them. But I think at this point, the non-stab Chilling Waters are not going to do anywhere near as much as these stab Parabolic charges, and they have the energy lead as well. So they're at +2 defense already. Yeah, this is not looking great, and I think, honestly, even with that attack drop, there's a chance that he's still two-shot us, because Dedenne is just such a dumb Pokemon. I'll throw this move just to see how much it does. If there's a chance it's still two-shots somehow, then I might as well stay in this game, but no, not even close. Yeah, at this point, they got us. Well played to our opponent. Talon lead, not the best thing for us to see. It is playable, but not with the backline like that. Oh boy, okay, well, speaking of bad leads, it's going to be an Annihilape this next game. I do have my Florges as our safe swap, and luckily not getting hard responded to by, like, some sort of really bad answer for us. Instead, we see the opposing fairy type, I guess, the Wigglytuff, with Charm comes on in. Chilling Water with a bait gets a shield. Love to see that. Our opponent likely goes for an Icy Wind as well right now. I feel like I could fight for Switch, though, if I want to right now in this game. And obviously, with how bad that lead matchup was here, I do want Switch if I can get it. In comes our next Chilling Water. Our opponent did shield the first bait. Honestly, even if they no-shield at this point, I can just make it so I do get to another Moonblast here in this matchup. Our opponent going to try to reach for another attack, but they don't quite get it. Moonblast being thrown. This should knock him out if they let it go, despite the Icy Wind debuff. Our opponent does let it go. Down goes Wigglytuff. We win Switch with our Chilling Water Florges. And I guess speaking of Chilling Water Florges, the opponent brings in their Chilling Water Florges, which is going to be an interesting Pokemon for my Diggersby to deal with. I do get a Chilling Water debuff against them, but then they bring in their Annihilape once again here. Pretty smart play by our opponent to make sure that at this point, they're not going to be Switch locked in with a debuff with either Pokemon. Corviknight, not the hardest answer to Annihilape. If I had a Pokemon like a Galarian Corsola in the backline, that would be a little bit more consistent. But Corviknight, while it's not going to wall the damage, it does outpace pretty drastically to these air cutters. So despite the fact that we are a little bit down on energy in this matchup, we can still keep pace, we can shield this next Rage Fist, and we can try our best here to keep this Annihilape away from our Diggersby. Rage Fist does come through. It draws our final shield here of this game. Air Cutter once again being thrown. Will they shield this? I think at this point they might have to, right? Florges would be a little bit of an awkward time against our Corviknight, so we do get a shield there. We go for the Air Cutter once again, but our opponent catches on the Florges, and because of all the counter damage that we took, I think I'm actually in range where Fairy Winds could potentially knock us out. I bring in my Diggersby right now, and honestly, at this point, this game is going to be very tricky. I know Chilling Water is super effective. We can actually survive 2, though, pretty comfortably, although I'm not sure that a 3rd would be survived by our Diggersby here. Let's see how much damage this next one does. If it puts us down deep into the yellow, then I know the next one would basically knock us out. Yeah, that would be risking it here if I tried to go for the survive on the next move. So instead, I'll throw the Fire Punch, hope this is enough. Even at -2, it might just be... Yeah, down goes Florges. We're one quick attack away from the Fire Punch, and I think despite, once again, being at -2 attack, this Fire Punch might still be enough damage here to knock them out. Down goes the Annihilape, just barely picking up the KO there. GG to our opponent. Next game, Diggersby up against the Talonflame once again in the lead. We saw this matchup earlier in the day, and we showed that it's not unplayable, right? It's a Pokemon that I can deal with if I need to. Quick Attack, as well as Scorching Sands here, are going to add up, despite the fact that these are resisted charge attacks here. Quick Attack will shred through their HP, just because Talon is not the bulkiest Pokemon. If I get a debuff, that's even better, but it looks like no debuff to be had. Our opponent goes for an alignment throw, actually, here. What are they throwing against us? Looks like a Flame Charge comes through. It doesn't do that much damage, but it will ramp up their Incinerate damage just a little bit here. I go for the Overfarm, realizing that if they threw on alignment once, there's a good chance they do it a second time, so I get yet another sneak in this matchup. And thanks to this energy lead, I think that we're actually in a pretty good spot, where now I can get to 2 Fire Punches against them before they're going to be able to do too much against us. In comes a Fire Punch. We draw a shield here. In comes a Scorching Sands, or I guess a Fire Punch. I guess I'm going crazy right now. This move right now should come close to knocking him out. Does it? No, it gets a shield, I guess, instead, which is also fine. Our opponent, it's greedy. They go for the farm down, which means we actually reach another Fire Punch thanks to the sneaks that they gave us. This is not how you play the Talon matchup out. Trust me, always just go for good timing with the Talonflame, and don't greed too much here, right? Obviously, now my Diggersby won both Switch and Shield advantage. It's going to be hard to lose this game at this point. They bring in Awzoom, and I feel like 2 Moonblasts from my Florges will be the easiest way to take down this Pokemon. I'll bring in Florges here, see what they want to do. I might even Chilling Water the final Pokemon, or maybe I won't. Maybe they'll top left instantly after seeing my Fairy type, so I have no idea what they have in the back line, but GG to our opponent. Next game is going to be a Malamar in the lead. And the best thing about Malamar is, well, first of all, it's my friend. Well, second of all, it's a Pokemon that, while it does beat Diggersby, it's not really a Pokemon that's a hard answer, right? I can dance around it if I need to, so I just instantly swap into my hard counter with my Florges, and luckily for us, we are not met by a hard counter, despite Steel generally beating Fairy, because we have access to Chilling Water here. Our super effective damage not only is going to do a decent amount of damage to them, it's going to debuff their attack stat, which is going to counter the effect of these Psychic Fangs debuffs against us, and we get a shield as well with that next Chilling Water. I think I can survive the Psychic Fangs. I think I can get another Chilling Water off against them, and this might put us in a very good position. This is where Florges really stands out as a Fairy-type Pokemon. I guess I say as they catch our next move on a Cradily, but even still, now that we see the Cradily here, we can bring in our Corviknight, which is by far our best matchup into this Pokemon. But as I was saying, I think those Steelix matchups, which we see a lot of Steelix nowadays, same with Bastiodon, this is where having access to Chilling Water on Florges is just so nice. I safe swapped my Fairy type. We were going to flip switch against him. We got a shield advantage. It was just such a dominant matchup for us there. Our opponent was forced to go for the swap out. Rock Tomb obviously will debuff my attack stat, but I think that's fine at this point. I'm just going to build up a lot of energy. I know that having energy here on our Corviknight is going to be useful not only against this Pokemon, but as well as the Malamar potentially later on in this game. Interestingly enough, they bring back in their Steelix, but my switch clock's back up as well. I can bring in my Diggersby, build up a lot of energy against the Thunderfang user, and while they will debuff me with Psychic Fangs almost certainly, I can survive, and the Thunderfang damage is still not going to do all that much. I have a lot of energy on my Corviknight. I have a lot of energy as well as 2 shields for my Diggersby right now. They might crunch us here. They might Psychic Fangs once again. Let's see what they want to do. They do go for the crunch, a little bit more damage against us, but that is totally fine. Fire Punch going to fire right back against them. Almost at 100 energy, so I will throw. Guarantee that I can either get a shield here or a knockout. Down goes Steelix. Who are we going to see come in? It's going to be the Malamar, actually, which does make sense, right? Malamar at this point is going to be against a debuffed Diggersby. Scorching Sands, though, going to do quite a bit of damage, so they realize that they do need to shield something here in this game. They shield a guaranteed move that almost certainly would not be a bait, right? Fire Punch bait would be a little bit stupid there. And now, though, at this point, I have a payback still on my Corviknight, and I can go for a Scorching Sands here. I can then combo play them potentially with our Corviknight, and even if they catch, I have so much energy as well as a shield. I think we're still in a pretty good spot. Payback will come through. Looks like no CMP, no catch to be had by our opponent, so this payback will land. It'll knock out that Malamar. In comes the Cradily, and this Pokemon is far too far behind here, so we're able to pick up the win. GG to our opponent. Florges putting in so much work on that safe swap. Next game, Shadow Dusknoir in the lead. A Pokemon that I guess our team doesn't really have a hard answer to, but I also like that Diggersby does resist the Ghost-type damage. With that said, the Dynamic Punch that might come through against us would do quite a bit, so if I can, I do want to neutralize this Pokemon. Maybe shield a Dynamic Punch as well if I can, to make sure we take a little bit less damage. In comes the attack. What is it going to be? I'm going to call that they nuke us. No Shadow Punch bait to be had here. Love to see that. They safe swap a Malamar, and this time, instead of swapping into our Florges aggressively into the Malamar, we actually counter swap into this Malamar, which means they're locked in. Chilling Water going to be able to do a decent amount of damage. That's going to put them into two-shot range, as well as debuffing their attack stat at this point. So in comes the Foul Play, maybe? Yeah, the Foul Play. It's not a Hyper Beam at the very least, which means we do survive that. We can get a Chilling Water once again off against them. If they let us go, then that's a lot of energy down the drain from this Malamar here. In the backline, though, is an Empoleon, and this is going to get a lot of energy. I don't love to see that. There is still a shield advantage as well as so much energy on our opponent's side. And while I do have my Diggersby, that doesn't look too bad against either that Dusknoir or this Empoleon. They both have ways to hit back against me for super effective damage. This game could get a little bit tricky. In comes another move here from our opponent. I'm going to go for the no shield because I know I do survive that Hydro Cannon here. Our opponent brings in the Dusknoir. I go for an Air Cutter bait. Maybe a bad play, though. Maybe I should have gone for the payback. Our opponent goes for the no shield. Yeah, payback would have been the play, I guess. In comes the next move against us. That Astonish will knock us out. And while I do have some energy on my Florges, I feel like I can't give him a farm down against us, so I'm going to bring in my Diggersby instead and throw the Fire Punch, trying to knock him out or draw a shield. They go for the no shield here. I think their Empoleon honestly might be able to sweep us in the backline anyway, but they do opt to shield, which I think is like my one sliver of a chance of getting back in this game. If I can shield this up, quick attack down, and have enough energy for that Empoleon later on in this game, maybe there's still a chance that I can win this one. I go instantly for the Scorching Sands. I could have baited here, but I feel like at this point, I'm going to go for the full send. If they call this, then, you know, so be it. They do shield the attack. I know I'm still outside of single Hydro Cannon range, but if they get a second Hydro Cannon before my next Scorching Sands, then obviously this game is going to be lost. In comes our Scorching Sands, but our opponent wins CMP against us. I should have gone for the bait or maybe a catch here, but well played to our opponent. Down goes my Digger's Beam, and now all we have is our Florges in the backline that is going to be completely walled by this Pokemon. Well played to our opponent. Next game is going to be Diggers up against a Murkrow. Okay, well, we've seen this Pokemon a little bit more often here recently, but Murkrow is not necessarily the hard counter to Digger's Beam that it is to Pokemon like Gastrodon or Marowak. My quick attack damage as well as my fire punch damage is going to add up quite a bit over time. They go for a CMP with that Drill Peck, and look at this. This is just where the bulk difference is going to come in handy. I'm going to put them well below half HP, whereas I'm still above half HP with my Digger's Beam. I just straight up win that Zero Shield matchup. With that said, I don't really want to play it out because I feel like they do want to be in that matchup if they can, so I'm going to try to bait something out if I can in the backline that maybe my Corviknight wouldn't want to see. We end up baiting out a Corsola, which is not necessarily the best bait out on our end, but I do go for a Chilling Water. I know it's almost never going to get shielded there, but just the debuff I think is going to make it just a bit more comfortable for us to guarantee that we do survive these Astonishes, as well as that Nightshade, and we can still get a Moonblast off in just a second. If they want to shield this one, be my guest. You're in payback range. I still have a Digger's Beam, so this Corsola is pretty useless for them in the game, so they do let it go. In comes an attack. I could see the case to like shield and farm this down, but that could be a little bit risky as well. So I do let that go. I can farm them down with my Diggersby here, and all of this energy on our Diggersby is going to put them in a very tricky spot. They can't really come back in with Murkrow, right? Because if they do that, then I can Fire Punch them and knock them out. If they bring in their final Pokemon, I guess we get to see what their whole team is. And it is a Gastrodon. This is a Water-type Pokemon, and while they are likely running Water Pulse in this season, I think that's totally fine. They're so slow to get that move still. And Corviknight here in the backline looks like it's a good enough Pokemon, not only against that Gastrodon, but also against this Murkrow, right? Up the energy lead that we have here, we can just go for Air Cutters. If they no shield, they can be my guest. I can just go for a shield here, farm them all the way down, and spam out even more Air Cutters against their backline here if possible. Down goes a Murkrow. Just a couple sand attacks will KO the Flying-type Pokemon. Don't see that too often, but now Gastro will come back in. Air Cutter being thrown. They know this is just an Air Cutter, but if they let this through, then they're going to be in just fast move farm down range, so they do shield that up. I don't get a boost, but that's still fine. All I need is just Air Cutters here as well as sand attacks and quick attacks, and this game should be in our favor. In comes the Air Cutter. Our opponent, once again, no shielding this attack. That is, yeah, it's over. They realize at that point, not much that Gastro can do. Well played to our opponent. Next game, oh my goodness, Shadow Torterra. This is another one of those matchups where Digger's Beam, unlike a lot of the other ground types that you see, actually has a lot of play, right? We see Mud Sappers in the meta like Gastrodon and like Marowak that would be so bad in this matchup, but because I have Quick Attack as well as Fire Punch coverage here on this Pokemon, I do so much damage here to our opponent. I am a little bit sad that they are staying in this matchup. I would rather have my Corviknight against this, but this is still so fine for us to see. Frenzy Plant going to get a shield here from us, but I can go for another Fire Punch in just a second. And if they stay in this matchup, I think I can actually just go for a full Quick Attack down in the 2-shield scenario. And if they're staying here in the lead, I would imagine there's some Diggersby weaknesses in the backline. Not quite sure what that would be, but maybe a Pokemon, like Bastiodon or something in the backline that I want to keep our ground type for if possible. In comes that Frenzy here. I guess a Ufisk in the back. Why do they bring in Ufisk, though, into a Diggersby? That is psychotic. I go for the Scorching Sands. It's super effective against them. And now I can bring in my Florges here, which also has that super effective coverage here with our Chilling Water. In comes a Mud Bomb against us. I can survive this. I guess that's a good thing because I don't have any shields loaded in the bank, but I can go for the Chilling Water after the fact too to make it so I can survive the next attack even better from our opponent. Chilling Water is going to end up landing. It puts him down deep into the red, easily into a range where I think I can Fairy Wind them all the way down here. In comes a Mud Bomb. I do survive this. I'll Fairy Wind down if they let us here, but no, instead they swap out to their final Pokemon. Bastiodon ends up coming in to what is his team? It's ABA Ground with just a Basti slapped in the back. That is honestly criminal. I don't know what to say about that. I bring in my Diggersby here, especially after that Chilling Water debuff. There's like no chance here that they can knock us out with a single Flamethrower. As long as they can land a move here against them, a Scorching Sand should do enough to put them into Sand Attack farm down range, but a Smart Shield by our opponent is going to protect them for now from our Diggersby. Flamethrower going to come through against us. I do survive this move here, but I think their Switch Clock might be back up, and if that is the case, that could be a little bit bad for us. They do bring in that Torterra. We survive, though, with that fast attack pressure here. They're waiting down the Switch Clock, which honestly I think is just better for me. I can swap into our Corviknight, save the energy, Sand Attack all the way down against that Ufisk, and now I have a Scorching Sands in the backline for this Bastiodon. And honestly, though, I don't even know if I'm going to need it, because Sand Attack still shreds through the HP of this Ground and Steel-type Pokemon, or Rock and Steel-type, that is. So I can go for the damage here against them with our fast attacks, as well as Payback doing a decent chunk itself. In comes Payback, our opponent here, no shields remaining. Yeah, just another Payback will knock him out. They are a very slow Pokemon, right? Bastiodon, not well known for outpacing any Pokemon here in this game, so we do reach that next Payback. Honestly, Air Cutter plus Sand Attack could have almost done it here, but I'm going to guarantee the knockout. Don't want to give Basti any sliver of hope. We pick up the win. GG to our opponent. Next game, Shadow Nidoqueen on the lead, and honestly, very good lead matchup for us to see here. Followed by a very bad save swap. What the heck is this? A Rainy Castform comes in. If you don't really know what Rainy Castform does, I don't blame you. This Pokemon is not something you see too often, but it is remarkably bulky, honestly. It has Water Gun as well as Weather Ball Water, which is a lot of consistent water type damage. It also potentially has Thunder, which would be very bad for a Corviknight to see. And because this Pokemon is just pretty good neutrally, and I don't have a good hard counter to water type Pokemon, it is going to put in more work here than you might expect. With that said, I do land a Scorching Sand, so I bring in my Florges. I go for a Chilling Water, hoping that maybe they shield like a potential Trailblaze. I've seen some Florges running double bait moves with Trailblaze as well as Chilling Water, but since I don't have it here, they no-shield, and I'm going to try to farm them down, but it's going to be close here. Can they get the final move off? Just barely they can. I do think I still survive, though, thanks to that Chilling Water debuff, but we will be very low on HP. All we'll get off is one charge attack against their backline. Nidoqueen does come back in. Chilling Water is super effective. Not only that, it will also debuff their attack stat here. Our opponent does go for that no-shield. In comes our Corviknight. In comes their final Pokemon. It's going to be a Shadow Scizor, and now I know at this point we should be in a pretty good spot. If they boost, it could be a little bit awkward potentially, but even then, I think we have enough energy on our Corviknight as well as our Diggersby that we should be in a pretty good spot. Air Cutter coming through this attack obviously won't knock him out from this range, but because our opponent is a Shadow Scizor, it will honestly do quite a bit. They do go for the shield there. In comes our next Air Cutter, and if they no-shield this, they're going to be instead attack downrange. If they shield this, I can still get to another attack after the fact. They do go for that shield, so they do want to maybe save this Pokemon. We get the attack boost here. They go for a Night Slash at the last second. And I think at this point, their win con is going for some sort of catch attempt at some point. If they do catch on that Nidoqueen, it could be a little bit awkward. We see it coming, though, a mile away. Instead, we just overfarm, get to back-to-back Air Cutters. This first Air Cutter should knock out the Nidoqueen. The next one will knock out that Scizor. Down goes the Queen. Down goes the Scizor to another Night Slash, or Air Cutter boost, that is. This move will knock him out. In comes a move. Down goes Scizor. Corviknight once again proving why it's not quite as fraudulent as it used to be anymore. And with that here, a 4-in-1 set to end off the day with our Chilling Water Florges. Honestly, as a Pokemon, I do see having at least a little bit of niche play in this meta. As far as Fairy types go, though, I think there are probably a lot of better options, at least a lot more consistent options, but it's a very unique pick. Chilling Water is a move that, I guess right now, it's the only Pokemon that learns it, right? It's an Icy Wind clone that has access to a lot of good pacing with Fairy Wind, and the Water and Fairy type coverage on Azu has always been good, so I could see why maybe Florges could have some play. But through and through, it was just the Diggersby and the Corviknight show today, with Florges kind of slapped in the middle. So if you want to use this team, I'd say Diggersby and Corviknight, definitely the way to go. Almost any other Pokemon over Florges could work, but Florges, not too bad itself. Alright, well, thank you so much for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next one.